Hello, beautiful beings of light. It's Tiffany here. Happy Friday. I hope that you guys are having a lovely week this week. And I wanted to come on and do a live video today because I haven't gone on for quite a while. So I wanted to come out and do an energy update and just hang out and chat with you guys to talk about the energy update lately. And so there's few things that I want to cover today. I think that a lot of you guys might find it helpful or resonating at the moment. And there's also a Q&A section as well. So if any questions you want to ask me or maybe share with your fellow lightworkers, feel free to use the chat box. Hi Alex, welcome everyone. Hi Divine Self, Asalamifia. Oh, sorry, I hope I pronounced your name right. If not, I'm sorry, but welcome. Oh, and hi. Oh, Tina, I know that's you. That's your Facebook account. Welcome. So today we want to first talk a little bit about shadow work. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but ever since the new moon, the last new moon, which is almost a month ago, the shadows have been rising quite intensely, I would say. And it's not just you guys, it's all the channelers, pretty much a lot of healers that I've talked to, they have felt this shadow arising. And so I felt that it's important for us to address shadow work during today's live. So, two things that I wanted to share today from my observation is about anger. So, you might have been feeling a little bit of anger arising, maybe starting from last week to about this week. Also, in the past Monday, and I'm in the EST time zone, Monday, I don't know about if you guys felt there's like this immense amount of energy on Monday, and I couldn't even move. I was like, what is happening? And you felt like you are in between dimensions and you hear, but at the same time, you're not. And so there's a lot of solar energies, a lot of cosmic energies that's coming down for us to integrate lately. So you might be feeling extra tired, you might be feeling irritated sometimes, and some collective purging that's happening. In terms of the anger, there's a lot of ways that we can do to transmute it. And I think the easiest way to do it, guys, is to laugh, is to bring in that pure inner child energy and just laugh about it. So just like right now, sometimes when I'm like angry or when I'm frustrated about something, I just laugh. I'm like, does it really matter? Like, am I gonna be worrying about this 2 years from now or another my next lifetime? If no, then I'll just forget about it and move on. So laughter, guys. So try to do a little bit of laughter yoga. I'm sure on YouTube somewhere you can find some laughter yoga video and just laugh. So laughing transmute the energy of anger very easily. And also another thing about anger is it's actually higher vibration than feeling powerlessness. So try not to feel bad when you're feeling angry because it's actually a state of this empowerment state that you're reaching. And so when you're in the energy of anger, you can harness it and transform it into motivation and action. Sometimes I find that we sit in this space of powerlessness and procrastinate, but if we can actually get up a little bit, right, into the frustration, that restlessness, we can harness it and just do it. Just go ahead and do it. Whatever it is that you need to do. So that's what I've been noticing energetically in the collective level. The astral realm, it's not too bad, right? In the past week, I would say this week has been quite nice compared to the last 2 weeks when it comes to astral wise. So if you're an astral traveler, you might have noticed either consciously or when you are in your dreams, the last 2 weeks was quite messy. There were some like weird energies in the astral, and this week is becoming a lot lighter. So that's what I wanted to also share. And so yeah, how are you guys feeling? Yes, moon lover. Oh, that's so beautiful. Hi Mart. Hi Valeria. Hi Ryan. Portia. Sabrina. Oh, there's a lot of echo. how do I do this? I probably should have set this up better. I usually use my big microphone, but today I was in a Zoom call using this, so I wasn't thinking about it. But I'll try to talk a little bit louder. Usually that helps with the echo, but let me know. And hi, Morris. Hi, Brunita or Brunetta. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing your names right, but welcome. And hi, Victor. And Loveritas Creatrix. Welcome. It's actually frustrating. That's probably another thing that comes up for a lot of people. There's a lot of like isolation energy, right? From this prolonged lockdown. And I think a lot of us are feeling that as well. So draw power from your anger like a dragon, right? And dragons have been very active lately. So draw this power, transmute it with your dragon guide, and use it as power and momentum to move forward. So when your shadow comes up as well, try not to be too hard on yourself, right? Because a lot of it is a collective purging. So sometimes when you're like shadow come up, what I hear a lot of light workers feel is, oh, I'm back at square one, or I'm back at zero, or I have done this before. Is it not healed? Did I not do something right? Right away, these thoughts comes up. So try not to feel like this. You're very sensitive to energy. So when the solar winds comes in and blast into our DNA and purge out all the things that doesn't serve, it can feel like some of the deep trauma that you have worked with is arising again. Doesn't mean that you have done something wrong. It just means that now you're doing it in a broader, more collective level. And so what I usually do when I'm doing my own shadow work is like, okay, before, right, I will only work on it myself. Now I will work on it on a collective level. So I'm like, okay, if I'm feeling anger, I'm sure the collective is feeling this as well. So inviting all of the light workers through the grid of Mother Gaia, and I would say to everyone, soul, and say, let's transmute this, let's release this. So you see the difference there, guys? Like in 3D, right? When you work with your shadow, sometimes it can feel very individual. But now that we're more in the 4D space, right? We're reaching for 5D, you can create it and you can transmute it in a way that's very collective. So there's this subtle energy shift here. So I encourage you guys to not feel discouraged when your shadow comes up. This is just a larger, broader way of working on it when you're in the collective consciousness. And you will also notice signs that why this is happening is people are becoming more telepathic with each other. Right? There was last week when I was having conversation with somebody, we mentioned a friend's name, and then the friend would text like me or email me with a message right away. That happened 3 times in the last, I would say, 10 days. So separate incidences. So you will see that we're now becoming more collective. That means when your shadow work arises, you're not just doing it on yourself. I know it sounds like a lot, but it's good because the more that we're purified, the faster we can get into the 5D timeline fully. So you guys are doing good. Don't give up. That's another vibration I've been feeling from a lot of people that I've noticed is feeling like they want to give up. Do not give up, light workers. Join hands with us. Hold the line. Do not give up and stay with us. This is a last stretch, right? And when those moments you feel like giving up, like sit yourself down, right? Call forth all your angels. And when you're tired and you're feeling alone, not feeling like you want to project yourself up to the higher end, call them into your space, right? Call them to surround you with a ring of lights. It's easier for them to project their light down here than you, right? Projecting yourself up all the time. So call them into your space, work with your guides. You're absolutely not alone. And remembering that time is like, okay, well, this is what I do and what it helps anyway. That I've gone through lifetimes. I've died for this many lifetimes. So I'm not giving up. There's no way I'm giving up. I'm going to stand in my power and I'm going to finish this mission. So that really helps me, and I hope that it helps you guys too. Is that uniting consciousness. And yes, thanks for bringing that up, Divine. It's a lot of people are feeling not aligned with their job as well, so that can bring up a lot of anger and frustration. Because anger also what it means is a violation of your boundaries, right? A lot of you guys empaths and highly sensitive star seeds and light workers and earth angels, when you guys are growing up, a lot of people will shame you because of your sensitivity. They will be like, you're being too sensitive, you're being too idealist, you are thinking about utopia, you're not being realistic, right? And things like that. So that shame made us feel like we don't have any boundaries. We don't know what boundary is. When people shame us like that. So then what happens is when we are in these jobs, also doing things that doesn't align with us because we've been told what to do, that anger can arise because it doesn't align with your soul. It doesn't align with your heart. So if that comes up for you guys, I say this is a time where you gotta start creating your career path. And I know it might sound a little scary at first, but I grew up in a very Asian culture, right? Where you have to respect your elder, listen to what they say because their words is that's it, right? They own you. And so for a very long time, I just followed that paradigm. And I think all of us is breaking out of that paradigm. And in the corporate as well, like for me, like, why do I have 8 bosses? Why do I have to answer to so many people? And it just feels like a very slavery system. And now school is designed to help enslave us into the 9 to 5 structure. And we that have been in the higher realm, you guys that have been on the Pleiades, on Arcturus, on Lyra, you know that that's not the way of living. That's not a sovereign way of living. But given said that, we still need to work, right? We still need to contribute. We still need to um, contribute to our society in some form or way. So it's not like we're being lazy, it's just we're looking for ways that can amplify the energy. So don't feel bad if you're in this stage right now. Allow yourself to have an exit strategy, right? You were outside of the matrix as a starseed. You came in here, you're like, holy crap. It's like, what is this? And then now you're exiting the matrix with your inner work, with your channeling, with your guides. But we have to transform it by creating a new reality together. So think about what you want to do. And sometimes when you're so stuck in the corporate, you think that, oh, no one would pay me for this, or I can't make this happen. Right? That happens. But then you work with people that have done what you want to do and see how they do it. So a tip for you guys is when I was in the corporate and I'm like, okay, I want to be a healer. That's what my soul is calling me to. But I know no one around me that's a healer. That's full time. So I thought, oh, you can't make a living out of this. I'll starve, past life. I'll get persecuted, past life. So the past life stuff comes up and abundance blockage and have to work through it. And then slowly I start to go into the spiritual community and I realize, wait, hold on a minute. She's doing this full time. He's doing this full time. They're doing fine. They have kids. So why can't I do it too? So surround yourself with light workers that are doing this work full time because now your vibration harmonize more with their vibration, right? You're in their vortex, just like Abraham Hicks talks about. So when you're in the vortex, then you create it as your own reality at the same time. So exit strategy, right? And there's so many ways to create abundance. And a lot of the abundance blockages that we have is from the, can I say this word on YouTube? I'm going to say the dark ones, right? We have way more, we have so much money for humanity, but they siphoned it, right, to do their own projects. They siphon it to build these underground structure that we are not even disclosure. Like they don't care about how we think. They don't care if you are, living well. So why are we playing their rules? Why are we playing their game, their matrix? Make a new one. So that's is where I feel a lot of this movement is going towards energetically. And I'm just being really careful on YouTube because I know there's censorship, but so it's good. Use code words and stuff. But I'll probably get on Rumble or like I'm on Telegram now, so I can speak more on Telegram. And if you guys are on Telegram too, my handle is Healer Tiffany 10. So you guys can find me there as well, where I can be a little bit more vocal. And so yeah, so break out the matrix. And the other thing about the corporate just doesn't feel right, right? Like why? It's one way to work for humanity, but why do you have to take orders from people? And it's just so bad. Like some people don't even feel okay to call in sick at work. Like women with periods or things, they can't even like be honest with their boss and say, "I'm on my period," right? Because they're not understanding of that. So why are we being enslaved in that structure? So we've got to create our own structure. And a lot of you guys actually have been asking me, well, I feel I want to do more. How can I help? So there's this app called Life Force Watch, and I've been following Kim for quite a while, for a few years, and discerning the energy. And so far, I feel that with all the people that I've known, that's where a lot of the momentum is going. So if you don't know who Kim is, her YouTube channel is called Speak Project, and you will find that she will disclose the structure of the financial system, like that you will not hear from anywhere else. She discloses things about galactic realm. So that's also what I really like about her, because she's not afraid to disclose, yeah, I go into meeting with the Galactic Council, right? She's the ground commander for Earth, and she's the guardian of this World Trust Fund. But the Dark One is blocking her in a lot of ways. So what we are working on when sharing Life Force Watch with you guys is because we actually through this app is coming together to create assemblies where the people govern the people. Now, some states are a little bit faster. Like I know New York have already had their assembly. They're submitting papers basically to tell the government, we are our own government. We're not playing by your own rules. And it's important that I share this now because the more that we create these assemblies, the more that she can help stream money in for these assemblies. So it's very important right now. And I know that I don't like to go into the disclosure stuff on my channel because that's not my focus. But I woke up this morning and I'm just like, okay, this needs to be shared. So those of you that are looking to do more hands-on work to help humanity shift out of the matrix, join us in Life Force. That's where we assembling the people. We have legal documents with legal help and a lot of knowledgeable people there. So they also have meetings as well. So if you're in Canada like me, we meet once a week on Monday on Zoom, and we're working on creating this assembly. So in terms of that, I think that's where the actual action us Lightworker can do. Instead of sitting here waiting for this person or that person, right, to save us, right? Trust the plan. What's the plan? Are we included in the plan? Like, what's going on? So I'm like, okay, either way, right? Wherever this polarity is going, it's too slow. Like, we need to get things done. So that's why I'm sharing Life Force Watch with you guys, because that's where we're getting things done. We're also working with each other truthers or light workers, however we call us, to ensure there's food supply. So there's projects where there's a wellness section. So if you're a healer, right, you get into the wellness section, start working on building healing centers. If you are more into the food industry, like permaculture, if you're a farmer, we are recruiting farmers right now to ensure that if whatever the dark ones want to mess around or um, create famines or affect the food supply, we have the backline there. So these people are action orientated. So I wanted to share this with you guys and have you guys join me in the Life Force Watch. And I'm very discernible with these energies, so I wouldn't be sharing with you guys if I feel that, okay, this, it's a good, this is good energy for us to work on. And the thing I also like about Kim is, she is not perfect, but she's quite grounded. She's very grounded in her energy, and she never ever imposes her as like the top. She never says, "Oh, I'm in control," da da da. But she's like, "No, like I'm doing my job, but you guys need to do your job." So she and the Galactic Council, right, and our Starseed family can do all the background stuff, but us ground crew has to make it happen. And this basically that's where we are now, guys. Is that they have done all that they can in the background, right? They have helped us avoid nuclear wars. They have helped us with rescuing the children. They have helped us in avoiding a lot of the bad stuff that the Dark Ones was planning. Those have been avoided. But now the ground crew we need to come together. We need to create these assemblies. We need to create that utopia that you and I know exists in a higher realm. We don't want to have more financial system. We have another, same thing, kind of like this financial system right now. We're still being enslaved. We want one that is more advanced, like the quantum system, where the quantum system can evaluate your intention and distribute wealth equally. It's like right now, why do these people need trillion of dollars to like, right? Like Jeff Bezos, I know he stepped down, but I'm like, why do you need $1 trillion? That you could have like shared that trillion of dollar and give people checks to help them during this lockdown. Why isn't he doing that? They don't care about us, so I'm like, why are we putting our energy into this matrix, right? So that's what I am here today, Lightworkers, clarion call. Let's do this. Let's get into action mode. So that's transmuting the shadow, guys, taking out frustration and transmuting into action. Yes, so Life Force Watch is an app. It's free. Speak Project or Project Speak is their YouTube channel. I think it's up now. They always get banned. That's why they needed their own platform because they keep getting censored. So it's still in the beginning stages. So the app might not work all the time, and just bear with them, right? They're starting from ground up. They actually recently started a separate app called United News Network. And in there, she also shares like more news orientated intel. And I actually really just only listen to her pretty much. I really only listen to their intel because I find that the way they speak is very empowering and that the galactic stuff really, I like how they include that. So check it out. I'm not saying like follow them, but feel into it. If it aligns with you, join us. Life Force Watch, very important. They actually discloses a lot of stuff like the financial system. And if you guys want to learn more about like what is the dark one, like it's very complicated. There's many factions, many groups, and she explained it in like a chart, and you're like, oh my goodness, this is why it's taking so long for this purging because there's so many factions. But it really does give you the education that you need as a light worker to say, oh wow, this rabbit hole is deep. And she knows so much that I think it's a good source of information to consider. So I wanted to share that. And second thing today, we want to talk on today's energy update, Mr. Smith's effect. So I actually recorded this video the first time, Mr. Smith effect, and it got deleted. So I had to redo it, and I haven't had time to edit it. But I just want to touch on it today in today's live. So please protect me. Don't delete the video. It's important. So what is the Mr. Smith effect? So the Mr. Smith effect can be understood through very good through the analogy of the movie The Matrix. But really what it is an astral disturbance. So have you ever had those moments in your life where you feel like this is like a glitch in the matrix, or this is some type of interference that doesn't feel natural? So we as channelers, we call them Mr. Smith effects because these Mr. Smiths are like astral, inorganic interference most of the time that are coming from the dark guys, the dark side. And what it can do is that it can create disturbance or disharmony in the astral realm. So remember those weeks, I think about 2 or 3 weeks ago when you were sleeping, there was a lot of nightmares, a lot of psychic attacks. You're like, what the heck? Those days are when the Mr. Smiths are busy in the astral realm. So how do you enslave a population? I wrote this down today when I was on Telegram. And so let's go through this, right? Number one, third eye. So to keep people asleep, right? Close their third eye. Put fluoride in their water, chemicals in the air, chemicals in the water. And have you guys noticed that there's not as many chemtrails anymore because they've all been grounded? So the galactics are helping us. I really do believe that because there's less of it now. Second, connect to source. Their connection to source. So if you want to enslave a population, you want them to feel like they're all alone in this universe, right? Enslave them with money, make them work so freaking hard that they have no energy left to connect with source. They're always stressed, they're always fatigued, they don't have time for self-care, let alone connecting to source. Third way, install a fear-based system, right? So what are these fear-based systems? Make people think they're unworthy, right? A punishment system. And I might offend some people, but please bear with me, religions. Right? Religions have a lot of programming. The essence of religion is good, is pure, but they have infiltrated it. And that's a little bit of the Mr. Smith. Is they will see you, right? Like coming, right? Going towards ascension, going towards source of light. They would try to stop you at first, right? It's like, no, don't go there. Shame this, anything that has to do with spirituality is pagan, is satanism. In the meantime, they are the one doing these stuff. So they flip it. They flip this narrative to confuse people. And now here where we are energetically, there's no stopping us. We're like, okay, there's no more stopping. We are in this ascension. So what can they do now? They try to make detours. They're like, okay, well, we can stop them. Maybe we can detour them a little bit, hijack the ascension program a little bit. That's what they do, right? So kind of annoying sometimes. And also they hijack religions, right? They hijack how people perceive God. And I don't know, I think you guys feel it the same way, right? Starseed, let me know. Like, I know a lot of you guys were in religion school and stuff, but have you ever thought to yourself, like, if a God is all loving, why would it punish me, for being innocent in this realm and just learning and growing as a soul? Like, a lot of the things I was sitting, I'm like, this doesn't make sense. Have you guys ever had that where you just like, as a young kid, question these things? And actually, if you read about Jesus, he did a lot of this stuff when he was a young boy. He would ask the religious people a lot of questions, and his teacher would get mad at Jesus, and the teachers would go to Mary and Joseph and say, "Your kid is causing trouble. You better silence him, or we're gonna kick him out of school." And that's what happened to Jesus. The questioner or the paradigm was in trouble. So it's good to question the system. And the God, actually, that they describe is not our true Father God. It's not our true source. The God they're describing is the Anunnaki gods, like Anu, Enki, Enlil, and Marduk. These people that have enslaved us for many, many years. Ever since the fall of Atlantis, we're talking about like 16 something thousand years. I don't know the exact number, a very long time. So that's how they are seeing themselves. They think they're God, and then we can worship them and be part of their rituals. So it's like, no, thank you, I do not consent to that. So it's like we have to break out of this system. And I know most of you guys watching is pretty conscious about this and have kind of come to peace with that part of the religion, and you're more following the pure source of religion, or what the religion is trying to teach us. So yes, Lars, religion is control and oppression very early on. It is helpful, like in our last live, you know how we talked about religion and spirituality, we talked about it, and it's just twisted. I also find if you do read some of the papers, like the Urantia papers of Jesus, he never taught us to worship him, right? He never taught us all these rules. He always talked about love. He always tried to tell us that we are children of God. He is not the only son of God. He's trying to say we all are. So yes, I agree. There's a lot of like twisting words of what Jesus was saying. And yeah, it's unfortunate. And I see, you know, I honor people in their journey because a lot of them have the programming there and they're so scared to go beyond the matrix of religion that they stuck in this time loop. But I hope that with the ascension energy, right, and we can pray for humanity that their consciousness will open and they will become more receptive to this energy, right, this quantum connection to the greater part of what the Ascended Masters were teaching. Ooh, it's a little bit cold in my room now. It's cold here in Canada. Oh, and number 5, how do you enslave a population? Harness their physical and spiritual energy. So in terms of physical energy, you already know, right? The system. But spiritually, this is where it's the most like messed up, I think. Um, like we discussed before, the rituals, right? The unleashing of Mr. Smith's entities, subconscious programming, right? These kind of things is like we never consented to this, like of drawing upon our energies. You can really dive deeper into this, but I don't know how deep should I go today, but we don't. All in all, what I'm trying to say is we do not consent. We are sovereign. We do not consent for them to harness our energy, not physically, not energetically, not astrally, not ethereally. We are taking our power back. What do you say, guys? They also tend to like to use narratives a lot. They will install like a bad guy and then a good guy, but then they all kind of the same structure. You see this symbol I'm doing? I'm not part of them. I'm just saying that's what they do. So it's just like watching a movie and you're like, but this movie is still part of their matrix. So it's like they install it so that we can like, oh, well, let's watch this, you know, how it unfolds, and we can just sit back and not do anything. So it's their way of like deterring us. So I'm kind of watching and I'm like, yeah, B and T, okay, great, but what about us? Like, what about sending people stimulate checks, like more checks, since you're the one that tell us to stay home, right? So that's why I'm like, yeah, I'm not waiting for this. I'm gonna do something about this. And number 6 is mocking our intelligence. Mr. Smith, they cause confusion, they cause glitches in the matrix. They use these Mr. Smith. Sometimes the Mr. Smith possess the person, and these people then go out and cause these misinformation, or to make light workers doubt themselves. Like some of the weird comments you see in other light workers channel, you will already know like this is not like a natural human energy. You will feel that there's something off about this energy, like a bot. Sometimes are hired by the government to create these confusions, right? So these are what I call some Mr. Smith as well. They just trying to deter you, right? They trying to stop you from ascending, but you see through their games. And in the end, we are sovereign souls of source. And when you declare that, the matrix system cannot over interfere with you, because you're basically saying, I'm not part of your matrix. I am part of natural law. I am part of source, natural law. I do not operate with the rules of the matrix. I operate under natural law. So that's how you can break through some of these Mr. Smith effects. Sometimes you just affirm to yourself, I am a sovereign child of light, of source, and I am sovereign in my soul. Right? So when you declare this, they don't have permission and power to interfere with you. So that's why I've been noticing, like, these guys, it's like they are so desperate, so spinned out in terms of their power that they're trying anything now to stand in power. So yes, that's what I wanted to share about that, about the Mr. Smith. And let's see, how's chat doing? How do we remove connections to these darker beings that might be from past lifetimes we aren't aware of? So there's a lot of different types of past life connection that you might feel, like ethereal cords. That's one. Sometimes you see like a spirit from a past life, and that happened to me in the very early of my journey when I was healing my karma. There was this soul that I have killed in a past life, not my present self, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, but I'm not that person anymore. You know, we've all been warriors, we've all kind of done, you know, be in this dustiness of the 3D. So I just asked for forgiveness. I asked for Buddha to help alleviate us. And then that red cord between us was dissolved. So I would say when you have these entities or spirit from a past life coming to collect the karmic debt, you want to invite an ascended master to come mediate the karmic cycle. And most likely, if they come to you, it means that they are ready to release it, or else they wouldn't come to find you, right? So, as an ascended master to help alleviate and dissolve that red cord between the two souls, because then both souls don't have to hold on to the karmic energy so much, and they can both be sovereign. So I hope that helps in terms of releasing energies from past lives. So yeah, another question, good question, Christina. How do all these dark beings get away with all what they do when there's free will in the universe? It was bound by contract in dark magic for a very long time. And actually they don't always get away with it. But my understanding from different sources that they actually have been kicked out of our planetary sphere. It's just the little guys that we are dealing with here on the Earth plane. So there is Source. Source does, you know, help us in a way, but we do go through these cycles, right? Just like the tree, sometimes you need to go through this area, and then sometimes you come back up into the brighter side of the universe. So, yeah, I definitely believe that we are protected and source are with us, but we have to call them in. Yes, and Lars put up a very good point, being neutral. So when we don't have that emotional reaction as much, then we don't give our power away, which brings me to the third point I wanted to share with you all today, and hope this resonates and make you feel you're not so alone, is that a lot of you guys, as you open and as you ascend, you take on more and more and more of other people's energy. I was seeing this a lot in this week, so I wanted to bring that up just like as a support. You can do something called, well, what I would call like a reverse soul retrieval. So you know how in my last video I talked about soul retrieval is claiming, right, pieces of your soul back. Whether these soul pieces were fragmented because of trauma or past lives or curses, things like that, you call and purify these and call them back into your body, right? Your soul. when you have taken other people's soul energy, right, when it's getting too heavy, you can boom, disperse it back out. So I realized I was doing this a lot, like many of you guys subconsciously, and and a Peruvian shaman, he taught me a technique that's very similar to this reversal retrieval. And his name is Jorge. Crap, I should know this. I'm sorry. But he's a pretty, pretty well-known Peruvian shaman. I'll try to put it in the comments section after I find his name in his book. So what he does is he gather a few pieces of rocks, and then with every piece of rock, he guides you to gather your old energies, like any old energies that is related to the masculine energy. And then you harness it into that piece of rock, and then when you're ready to let it go, you throw it away in the river to let it purify. Then you do the feminine energy, mother, sister, girlfriends, or aunts, or any feminine energy that is not yours, that's not pure, you let it go. Then I think he also did like past self, like past self's energy, and then present self, and then future self. So he did it in such way. It's very similar to reversal retrieval, where you're taking these soul copies that's not yours, that you've copied from somewhere and someone, and releasing it. So that I think would be helpful for you guys to do when you feel like you have been taking a lot of other people's energy and you don't feel yourself, and you just feel like you're so connected to other people's emotions that you can't even figure what you are feeling. So this type of process, like a reverse soul retrieval, would be very helpful. And that's what I did. I just sat down and I'm like, no, I don't want to do this. So heavy, it's taking so much of my energy. So, and then I just let it go. It's like all these little soul copies just released from me. So that after that, I felt lighter. So I hope that will help you guys as well. Remember, when you do this practice, be sure to do protection. So sometimes new viewers they forget to do it. So just reminding you, protection, connect with source, right, and do it safely. But it's quite simple, really. You just release it, just boom, let it go. And yes, Jorge Luis Delgado, I think that was his name. Yes, he has a resort at Titicaca, Lake Titicaca. So that's where I know he lives. Um, yes, and another thing that you guys are bringing up is that you can draw power from your shadows. A lot of people, light workers, not you guys, but some people that maybe just started their journey, think that, oh, we have to only do love and light and not think about just shadow, because the shadow just disempower us. Actually, doing shadow work helps you draw back your power, sometimes even more deeply than light work alone. So when you face your shadow, right, see your shadow, the ugly side, the anger side, the achy side, see her or him or them in front of you and just work with them. Treat them like another aspect of you, right? And I'll give you guys an example just to help you process this. So I recently was doing shadow work, and I call out my shadow self. And then this dark purple dragon, she came forth and she's like so angry. She's so frustrated. But she's freaking powerful, man. So I'm like, so I wasn't afraid of her, but she had some anger to process. And so I was like, okay, great. This is the shadow self, the anger aspect. So how do I work with her? And then I kind of slowly worked with her, talked to her, and realized and told her, I'm like, you have a lot of power, and sometimes it's coming out as anger. And then I asked her, like, why do you feel this way? And she was like, I don't like to be in this realm. I don't like to be around human. They hurt me. They don't understand me. You know, those shadow voices. Then I'm like, yeah, legit. Sometimes that can happen, right? When you meet like mean people or rude people. That can trigger those feelings. But then I just told this dragon, I said, well, clearly it's not working right now because you are creating this anger energy in me and it's not solving the problem. So we have to come together. We have to be as one, as a team. So will you work with me? Can you work with me? I asked my shadow self that. And she said, yes, she would be willing to. And then when I worked with her, and all of a sudden, a masculine aspect also came out, a volcanic dragon, masculine energy. So there's the anger that I feel from my masculine side, and then the anger that I feel from my feminine side. So then I integrated the two dragons, and it became a gold dragon, right? So still got the fire energy, right? But it's more neutral, it's less reactive. So try that, guys. Like face your shadow and draw power from from your shadow. And actually, after that integration, I felt that I took on less people's energy. It's not that we don't care about other people, but it doesn't serve you or them by taking their energy sometimes. And I also are like more firm with my boundaries. So my boundaries, I'll be like, nope, this is not mine to process. This is for them to unpack. I cannot take this on for myself. So then you become stronger in your power. So I hope it helps. And that's shadow work and integration. So that's all I wanted to share today, and I hope that it's helpful to you guys. And I'm sorry again if the audio is not perfect today. I just impromptu wanted to come on and hang out because we haven't hung out in a long time. So let's see if there's any question, like Q&A right now, like anything about Atlantis or Lemuria or channeling. Try to ask more general question. If it's more personal question, I can't really help because there's so many people. If it's a more general question that you feel other people will benefit, then I think it'll be easier for me to answer. Hi Tara, how I wanted to know how to feel accepted when everyone can sense you're different. Like a starseed reacts to that sometimes quite strongly. How to feel accepted when everyone can sense you're different. That comes out a lot, and actually that's another thing, right? Like, have you guys ever tried red pilling someone? Your family or your loved one, and you're like, wow, why do I feel like such a bad guy right now or such an outsider? So that can come up a lot with star seeds. And Tara, I think that it's really good you here interacting with us, right? Not just me, but other star seeds. And you guys can feel the energy in the chat, right? It's very light. Everyone is very like loving and it's very easy, the energy when we're together. So work with other star seeds, right? And you don't have to sometimes I work with a lot of students and clients and they think, oh, well, I don't do as many videos as you do. I'm like, it has nothing to do with that. You can just go to your Facebook group and say, hey guys, I'm Starseed here, just wanted to hang out with, let's chat, let's talk about something like what we're doing now. And just make some connection there. So that's one. And the other thing is also is integrating your multidimensional self. So when you have reintegrated your Pleiadian self or your Lyran or Arcturian or other starseed self, you start to see from their perspective. You commune with them as one. So there will be another video that I will edit and post about ways to connect with your galactic guides. And one of the way is communion. And the other way, also one of the 8, is channeling. So channeling is where you like connecting with them, but communion is where you integrate. And this is better when it's your own starseed self, because it's your soul, it's your energetic imprint. When you can see through the eyes of your starseed self, you will not be so triggered when you are with others. So a lot of times when I'm speaking, actually, and in some of the videos you see me have different demeanors. Have you noticed that? Like when I'm like more the Tiffany Earth self, I'm more giggly. But when I'm channeling and communing with my Arcturian self, you will see that my voice change, right? My demeanor change, even the way my muscles move is different. So that's when I am communing as my Arcturian self and seeing through her eyes. And when I see through her eyes, then my human self is not as reactive. I'll be like, this is how I see people through love, more in the higher dimensional state. And I think that's what Jesus was teaching us too, is that higher integration and to see others through that state of being. So I hope that helps, Ellie. That's my short answer. And Alejandro said it too. Meditation, recognize your power, the power of light and power of God, calling Archangel Michael. Yes, absolutely. So asking for help, absolutely. Oh, Lemurian past lives. So yes, I don't know if you guys follow GTM. She did like a 3 hour extravaganza on the magician of Moon. So I think there's a lot of info in there too. But all in all, I can say that Lemuria, each of us remember it a little differently. It's like, let's say we're all in our starseed self now, right? We're all sitting in a circle together. And I'll be like, oh, Lars, can you tell me about Earth? Oh, can Sky, you tell me about Earth? We're all going to have a different perspective. So if I'm talking as Tiffany, right, I'll be like, oh, Earth is cold because I live in Canada. And maybe with someone else who lived in Costa Rica, would be like, Earth is very warm, right? It's ocean energy, it's very beautiful. And so Lemurian itself is like pieces of puzzles that you put together. But it's a very beautiful era that we lived in its prime time. A lot of crystal, a lot of healing. It's like paradise. It's like, when you are, think about like the top friends that you have or top spiritual teachers and you're just around them and you don't feel drained, you just feel your energy amplified. It's kind of like that. Like there's very much a lot of light, a lot of spirituality. There's also many options of spirituality. It's just not one lineage. It was very, very, very complicated, advanced at the same time. I also noticed that with Lemuria, they allow you allow the person to choose a lot. So some people would choose to travel with advanced technologies, and some people would travel in a more natural way by foot. So in a lot of readings that I've done, even though you can see like advanced technologies during those era, actually a lot of you guys walk through foot, right, or with those little boats or canoe that you use to travel. So there's a lot of options in Lemuria, and it has a very, to me, from my remembrance, a very divine feminine masculine balance energy. Like the males there are very in their divine masculine power, and the females there are very much in their divine feminine power. And there's other, energy, other beings there as well. So it's not just this polarity, but it's like a divine party in Lemuria. It's very beautiful. So we try to like do some meditation and channel and remember your Lemurian memories. It's quite beautiful. If you remember a fearful moment from a different life or planet, is it to remember so you don't relive that memory, or is it just a way to remember not to forget you and also? I would think so. Like I think it's both. So, for example, the Lyran Wars, right? A lot of us were in galactic wars and we were displaced and things like that. So I think we try to remember because it helps us remember why we're here. It's like, okay, why am I here? What is my purpose? Oh, I have died before, fighting the dark ones. That's why I'm here, doing this again. Just less likely to die in battle this lifetime. So jokes aside, it helps us remember our mission and bring us back that conviction of inspiration of why we're here, why this work is so important, why it really does go beyond our own individual. It's a collective mission. And I also feel like it's an integration as well. And let me know if you guys feel this way too. Is sometimes we don't process certain lifetimes right away. Like sometimes it takes maybe a few more incarnations to feel at ease and make peace with that lifetime. So I feel that it could be due to integration as well. It's just that you're like, oh, okay, well, I've worked in this for a very long time, and I'm here again, right? Playing a different role in this lifetime. And yes, that will remind you you're a starseed and you are a light worker. Hi, Sia! Nice to see you. Sabrina, are all dragons benevolent? So, absolutely not. So, good question. Thank you, Sabrina. So, with all types of beings, especially the newer viewers to my channel, there's always dark and light in this dimension because of where we are. So even so, that's just because someone say I'm Palladian, it doesn't mean that they are of light. Just because someone is saying, "Oh, I am from Orion," right away people think all beings from Orion is Dracos and they're not good. It's not true. There's a lot of pure beings that came from Orion. So you always have to remember there's polarity and there's even Palladian looking aliens that are not good, that has been working with the dark ones. And even though they look Palladian, they are not the same Palladian that you would want to work with as spirit guide. So good question, Sabrina. So definitely discern the energy before you dive deeper with your guides. What are your thoughts about Alpha 10? Oh my goodness. Aphantasia and visualization. I actually don't know what aphantasia is. If you can share with me, Mark, what is that? What is that? Because I haven't heard of it. Visualization, I know what it is. I'm not sure about the other one. And do certain ET races, for example, Palladians, enjoy fashion design? Yes, absolutely. Actually, I noticed that they are all very artsy, just like us. And actually, what they really like about us is our music and our creativity as well. There's something about emotions that pushes the creativity out. So because down here we struggle a lot, we harness and channel our emotions to create, that's something that actually Terrans are very good at, is that creativity. Because if you think if you're in the higher dimension, right, and everything's so easy, so pretty, and just like so smooth and nothing really ever happened, I think that would be less likely to be as creative as we are now. You know what I mean? So you can still be correct, like creative, but I feel like we have way more inspiration here, right, compared to if we were above. So that's what the beings above, they usually help us down here because they're looking for way to grow, they're looking for way to serve and also get inspired as well. And actually, with dragons, for example, with my dragon teacher, he has a little fledgling that follow us, and the fledgling is like being mentored by him because the fledgling is trying to observe how is it like to work with a human in this dimension, so that when she becomes a full-grown dragon, she can, have the experience and knowledge of working with beings in this dimension. So sometimes we think, well, why would the light people help us up there if everything is so perfect? Is they then start to orientate more towards helping others and expanding, helping us expand and helping us ascend as well. So I hope that's helpful. And the Andromedans, oh my god, I love seeing Andromedan starseed cells because the Andromedans, they really have a very special um, connection or taste when it comes to art. I mean, they all do in a way, but when I see Andromedans, I just like, whoa. They dress very beautifully. They have beautiful gowns, and they have a um, very unique sense of aesthetics. And that's what I've noticed with a lot of star seeds that have Andromedan light codes. They are both very artsy. Like I have a client whose son, his young son, is an Andromedan starseed, and he likes his room a certain way, and he decorates his room a certain way, even at such a young age. So that's what I notice about Andromedans a lot. They really appreciate art, and your Andromedan cells are, very beautiful. Pleiadian self as well. Pleiadian self in readings, I've seen Pleiadians like playing instruments. They are just as creative as us. Even on Sirius, on Lyra, I've seen Starseed would do like these weaving to make art piece. There's some Starseeds that play like these instruments, similar to our instrument, a little different sometimes. So there's this cosmic creativity going on here. It's very, very interesting. How about angels in terms of duality? Are all angels messengers of God? Are they all positive? So angels, from my understanding, is a rank in the celestial hierarchy of light. So there's a light universe, a dark universe, a galactic central sun, and then through the galactic central sun, you go to other multiverse. So what we call angels or higher dimensional beings is that they have ascended closer towards the galactic central sun, which they call Paroma. Sometimes there are other names. There's so many names, guys. I don't even remember them all. But let's just say the Paroma realm. And you can get promoted as you ascend to different ranks. So that's why you see like angels, archangels, seraphims, and then within seraphims, there's also other ranks as well. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is information overload. So it's like a rank. And so I think that those that are angels are positive. But then again, there is the story of the fallen angels. So I haven't dig deeper into that yet, so I can't really comment into it. I just started touching that layer of our history. So if I find out more, I'll let you know. But I think there's some entities that can trick people to say I'm an angel and they are not, and then they begin to take over the ego. So I have witnessed that a lot, and that happens. So just discern. You will know. Like when you work with a light being, you will feel that all the interactions you have with them is of pure unconditional love. And whenever you ask them for help, the answer is always pure and positive. Like an angel guide would never make you feel ashamed. They would not ever, be like rude or disrespectful to you. Sometimes they can come across as emotionalist because they don't have as much emotional trauma, right? So they look at things as very neutral, like very simple way. So sometimes the way they talk can be very precise, but very effective, right? They work on efficiency. So if they have one message to tell you, they tell it to you in like one line. Sometimes people was like, oh, that's it. But then the message is already in there. You have to dive deeper into the multidimensionality of it to understand the message. So I hope that helps. Aphantasia means having a blind mind's eye. When you close your eyes, you see nothing, just black. Oh, is that what it's called? I see. So I know some people have that, like when they close their eyes, they don't see anything, and then they have a hard time visualizing. So here is where opening the third eye, but also sound healing, light language, sound healing can help release that. So a fellow light worker inspired me with this. It's just like when they talk about it, I'm like, oh, think about bats, right? Bats, they can't see in the dark. But why do they don't bump into each other? Why can they avoid the obstacles? They use the other senses, the sonar, right? The sonar wave. So if any of you guys are wanting to open your third eye but you don't see a lot, don't worry. It's not about the darkness. It's about the other senses that help you see clearly. Is that attunement, that toning and tuning that will help you even see and sense amongst this darkness. Because to us, right, we look at it as darkness, but to the bat, no problem. They can see everything. So that's where you shift your paradigm, right? Again, shift the paradigm to think that if you're not seeing things and you don't have clarity and you're not connected to your guides, it's not true. Because you have other ways to do it. And there's so many star seeds here that each of you have a different gift, have a different way of connecting. So some guides are very telepathic. So you don't even maybe need to see that clearly. You can just get it telepathically from your guide. And sometimes telepathy can be way more accurate than just seeing because there's still like a limitation when it comes to seeing. So shift your paradigm, right? Even in darkness, you can see using sonar, using different ways of sensing the universe. I hope that answers your questions, or I hope that helps. Does the energy keep rising like 2020? That's a good question. I actually think 2021 is going to look crazier than 2020. But I also think that it's like a push, like a pressure cooker. It's like, how much would people take before they step into their power and say enough? Like, we usually are like, yeah, this is quite enough now. We can just shift into the new earth. But there are a lot of people that's lagging behind, right? I think that what would happen in this year will really help open more people's eyes. Right? What they would start to critical think and be like, wait, this doesn't match up. Like, this doesn't make sense. Like, this is just, it's not logical. So they'll get to see more. So us as light workers and starseeds that we have been in this cycle before in Atlantis, Lemuria, or other planets, we are holding space. We are holding space as leaders. So that's why Life Force Watch, right, helps you get into that action state. If you have soul purpose calling, you want to be an artist, like start. Don't think about the money right away, just start, right? The money flows. So some of the artists, I also think there's so many ways for us to express our skills. Like a lot of artists now that I work with, they channel, right, the portraits of people's past life or ET selves. So this is something that's really new, right? It's never been done before. It's really just starting now with our Starseed generation. So think outside the box, have no box, just go for it. And I find that a lot of light workers will also support other light workers. So now when I spend money, before when I was not woke, I would just spend money carelessly. But now I'm like, okay, well, a part of my budget will support light workers. So I'll go into like other people's crystal store or things and then circulate the energy. And so I will also donate a part of my income to charities and things like that. So to keep it going in the light worker circle. And is Norse mythology real? Oh, Debbie, that's so cool. I actually been trying to channel the information. So that has been coming to me in the last 2 weeks is the 9 realms and Asgard. My guys keep saying Asgard, Asgard, Asgard. I'm like, what about Asgard? So I just started educating myself about the 9 realms and I think there's more stuff that will come through. So when I get the downloads, I'll share in another video. But Asgard, I think, is definitely real. I have a hunch that it's perhaps maybe either in the inner earth or maybe it's a section, part of our old earth, like the Atlantean earth. So I haven't deciphered more accurate information yet, but I kind of sense it somewhere there. I'm still doing a little bit of channeling and research as well. So I don't know, maybe some other people know more about Asgard. It feels like we are in the Aquarian age. Yes, we are in the Aquarian age, like the song. Do you think our creative power can be taken away through our sacred charter by dark forest ritual? Yeah, absolutely. If only people knew about the degree of how much they have exploited us, I don't think they would last very long. So yes, they like to do these rituals, and you just know, like I just know, like okay, there it is. They have done something because you can feel it in the astral realm, and you can feel they siphon energy out of your body. You know those days when you just wake up and you feel like you have no energy, but it's not the same as ascension symptoms. It's different. It's like a psychic energy attack where you're like, whoa, like my life force, it's drained out of me. So those are like dark rituals, and usually you want to follow their calendar and notice that they do these things around these certain portals like pagan portals or full moon, those kind of dates. And what's interesting is like they condemning spirituality, and in the meantime, they're doing these things. So you're like, wait, what? So yes, you want to protect yourself before you go to bed. When my student Irene, she sleep with amethyst under her pillow, which works very well. I use the armor of light as well before I go to bed, and prayer. So I always ask for my guides and Archangel Michael to protect me when I sleep. And sometimes you'll still have a little bit of nightmares, but those are like processing the day, or it could be just a message from your guides to work on a specific aspect of your shadows. So sometimes when you get nightmares, it's not always about psychic attack. It could be things you're not aware of, and to get your attention, it comes through like a dream. Yes, yes. Yes, Laveritas, yes, I can feel it there days when you're like, man. um, can you talk about dreamless sleep? I've been sleeping well, but rarely recall dreaming after sleep. So dreaming is not my expertise, but from what I've heard from David Wilcock, he says it's best if you sleep for 2 3 hours, and then when you have a dream, he wakes up and he write down his dream, and then he'll go back to bed again. So everyone's sleep cycle is a little different. For me, all my dreams come before I wake up, at least the ones that I remember. So why when I wake up, I would write down, okay, what are the main points from the dream, so that I can like reflect on it. But if you don't have dreams in your sleep, I don't think it's a bad thing sometimes. Maybe you just get a better restful sleep than most of us. And during meditation, like another person had mentioned, sometimes it help you see more of these visions as well. So everyone is different because there's so many star seeds. Everyone have different DNA, different templates. So don't feel wrong and don't feel bad if you're not like a certain way, because there's so much diversity here. Oh yes, guys, that's beautiful. Absolutely. I see a lot of starseed self they work with the physical and ethereal when they work on their creations. If you have a telepathic connection with another human being, can that be transferred to your guides? There's different types of telepathy. I would say you can make the connection with your guide. So feel, right? If you have telepathy with another human, where do you usually sense it? Like some people sense it more around here, some people sense it more around in the heart, or sometimes they sense more in the center of the forehead. So seeing kind of where the telepathy is activated, and then focus on that area, and then attune it to your spirit guide. Now, every spirit guide communicates differently, so some guides are more telepathic, so you can connect with them more easier. Some guides are more visual, some guides are more energetic. And a lot of people have energetic guides, and Um, but they're very subtle sometimes. So some people say, I see my guide or I feel them, but that's it. Like, well, sometimes it's that's it. Your guide is here to bring you vibrational energetic medicine. They bring forth what that state of vibration you need at that time to help you harmonize with their energy. So there are some guides like that, the energetic guides that speak energetically. I hope so, Christine. So the question is, do we think we will see New Earth manifest in our lifetime? I think so. I think we'll see it. And I'm like, yo, I worked so hard for this, I'm gonna see it. Doesn't matter where we end up. Like if I'm still on Earth or if I passed on or wherever, I gotta see it. Yes, Mark. So I have a lot of people that I work with who are clear cognizant. So a lot of times when I guide classes, I would, as a guide, ensure that I am including everyone's clear abilities. Because some people are more clear cognizant, they can see it, so that I'll guide them to do the meditation differently. I'm more clairvoyant, so sometimes I describe the visions a lot. And actually, sometimes when you work with people, let's say you want to be more clairvoyant and you're in the vortex with a lot of clairvoyant, that can slowly amplify and open up as well. So it's like an amplification process. Hi, Nels. If we are starseeds or light workers, what are the other people? Regular human, or is everyone a starseed to come help Gaia with ascension? I actually think starseed is like an energy that people activate. I do know there's native souls that are from Earth. There are souls that were from Mars and other parts of the galaxy as well. So in a way, we are all stardust, we're all star being, but we just have the word star seed to help trigger our memory. So you know how in some of the mind control stuff they do the opposite. They give you keywords and then they control people, like you see in movies. And they always disclose what they're doing to us in the movies, don't they? So starseed, these words is like the opposite. It's basically you programmed yourself before you came, this word would trigger memories, or this incident, or this thing, this vision would trigger your memory. So those are like activations. Hi, Bella, nice to see you. Set the intention to dream, and you wake up to remember them. Yeah, that helps too. Thanks, Laura, for helping each other. Write them down ASAP. That's so true, Laura. I have to write them right away, or else I forget to. So don't worry, no worries. How can we use sacred geometry to connect with our guides in our higher self? So very good question, Valen, and I think there's an infinite way to use sacred geometry to connect with your guides. I find that if, and this is generally speaking, with dragons, especially elemental dragons, if you use the tree of life, when you attune yourself to these vibrations, they can't see. It's like a light bulb. It's like ping, ping, ping. They're like, ooh, that one is ready. Then they come, connect with you. So Tree of Life is really good. I use Tree of Life all the time whenever I'm channeling because it really helps me ground. It helps me set my centering channel and also protection as well. So I love the Tree of Life. Flower Life is great, I find, with goddess energy. The Metatron's cube with Archangel Metatron and the Sri Yantra, for to me, it's very fatherly, like a grounding, fatherly energy. So you can attune and use these sacred geometries to connect with your guides. So actually, some guys do connect with these shapes. Like I would notice a lot of Arcturians would do this. Because the higher dimensional turns, ooh, and guys, I have new downloads. I gotta make another video to talk about Arcturians. These are like new info I haven't talked about on my channel, so I gotta get my bed down and make the video. So Octarians do use sacred geometry a lot because it helps you activate that light circuitry within your body. Um, what are the other beings? Actually, a lot of them do, but I find the Octurians really like to use it. Lyrans, Andromedans as well. Sometimes we'll use sacred geometry to speak to you. So there's so many different ways to work with them. You can also create like a crystal grid around yourself before you start your meditation. That's what I used to do. I had like, okay, let's make a grid around myself. And it helps me create a field, a container for my meditation. Hi, Dad. Hi, Dad. Spiritually and energetically, what could headaches mean? So headaches can be a few things. So metaphysically, it could mean that it's overstress, like there's too much to process in your mind. Energetically, it could be an implant. Like some of us have implants, and when it's not attuned properly, it can cause headaches. Headaches can also come through ascension symptoms. So let's say if your brain's frequency is getting adjusted, then sometimes it can come up as pain. So pain doesn't always mean it's a bad thing. Sometimes it could be coming up to help you heal, but other times it could just be like a ascension symptom. And full disclaimer, I'm not a doctor, so if it's ongoing, be sure to seek medical help. But spiritually speaking, that's where I generally see people experience headaches is either energetically, right? There's too much to process and there's too much stress, or there's like implants that's not attuned properly. Or the other one that I see is an activation, like a channel or a spiritual gift being activated. So that happened to me, I think, earlier this week when I had a shooting pain around this area and like a little bit in. And I never ever had any pain in this side of my body. So I'm like, okay, what is this? It's like a little channel opened up towards the Octurians. I'm like, oh, okay. And then the pain go away in like 2 to 3 days. So that's what the headaches could mean sometimes. And everyone is a little different, but that's the general scenarios I see. Is there an ultimate version of us, like the original of who I am, for example, being Arcturian, my home vessel? Oh, this is like that movie Inception, how you go into the layer and layer with your multidimensional selves. I do think we have a nomadic self, a very divine part of ourselves, and then we go down to the oversoul, to the higher selves, to the higher dimensional selves, and keep going down. So it's like a fractal, just like the infinity miracles, down, 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 down. So if you really want to trace back, right, up to your soul, you can find your higher, greater self. There's so many of them. Like sometimes you see yourself, oh, this is my dragon self, and oh, this is my higher Arcturian self. Oh, this is my higher celestial form, and this is my unicorn aspect. So you can kind of see these aspects of yourself, and I think the important thing to remember is to integrate what each of these aspects helps you in this lifetime. So it's like the unicorn is a purity, is a healer, the inner child, right? That's a frequency. The dragon is that strength, that leadership quality, right? You integrate that. The Octurian, the healer, channeling aspect, right? Integrate that. So you're like downloading these light codes, right? Frequency back into your temporal self. And that's how you stay grounded, but connected to your multidimensional self at the same time. Where I see some people struggle with when the Mr. Smith get in the way is they start to think that they are, I'm not judging, so how do I word this? They think they are a certain, like, really high being. And then they get lost in the whole spiritual ego. And then they think, well, I am this, so peasants be gone. So please, guys, Don't go that path. Please do not let the Mr. Smith sway you. Stay grounded. It kind of matters who you are in other dimensions to help you empower and become connected. But please, you are here in this self as, Tiffany, as this person, and enjoy being this aspect. Enjoy being Tiffany. And sometimes what I help me might help you is ask myself, what does Tiffany has that Octuria might not have? What does Tiffany had that my dragon self might not have? And it brings me back to my body instead of trying to escape. I'm like, you know what? Tiffany has really long hair. Octuria is mostly bald, so she ain't got no hair. So that's what I would help myself embrace. I'm like, okay, well, I have really beautiful hair in this body. I'm going to appreciate that. So I would love for everyone here, right, who's part of the circle, to feel that groundedness too. Try not to become overly identified with like, oh, I am. Like, I have heard people say, I am Jesus. I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, I'm pretty sure Jesus ascended. I don't think he's here. So sometimes, right there, these energies, this harmony that can make you feel like you are Jesus, but I don't think that's possible because he ascended. So all I'm saying is, please, as Starseed, let us stay grounded. Let us love our human self. And I would love to hear from you guys too in the comment section if you're still with me. Like, what do you love about your human self? What does your human self do that your dragon self can do? What does your human self can do that your Pleiadian self can't do? So think about these qualities because we always think about, oh, what does this aspect of me do? We never really sit down and think about, yeah, why did I come here as a human body? Is there something that stands out? Right? It can be very simple. Maybe it's just enjoying nourishing ancestral cuisine. I'm like, Octaria doesn't eat, so she might not get to experience these beautiful tastes, right, in the elemental body. She absorbs energy through her nervous system, through ethereal and plastic energy, which is great, but at least Tiffany can get to taste Indian food, Chinese food, and all these beautiful cuisine. So that helps us bring us back to where we are, and I think it's very beautiful. So I hope that helps. Yes, cook and enjoy food, staying grounded. That's true, Nas. There's some species that don't have sex. There are some species they literally just create their offspring like this, just through thought. Or, even the dark guys, sometimes you feel bad for them that they have been so enslaved and their genetics have been so modified they can't reproduce. That's why they're here to abduct people and stuff. It's very sad if you think about it. So at the same time, you're just like, being here as this human self, there's some good stuff that I can appreciate that my dragon self might not experience. Maybe the dragon self was so big, and now you're like tinier, and you can get to feel what it's like to be in this tinier body. So it's very beautiful, and I think all of you guys are beautiful in your own ways, and all of you guys have very beautiful, unique energy, and none of us is the same. It's very, very beautiful. And I know a lot of Starseed, you guys do this. Do you guys ever do this? You notice people's good traits before their bad traits? It's like a blessing and a curse sometimes. Because before you wake up, you're like, oh wow, this abuser, he loves me. There's all these red flags, but he's so nice. That was me, and I'm sure you guys will resonate. And then after you get beat up, then you're like, wow, okay, maybe just looking at the good side, it's not very wise. Maybe you have to evaluate the bad stuff too. That's where the wisdom, where the star seed become the star blue, the star tree, so that we're more integrated. but I think a lot of us struggle with that. So, and also as me, I don't know if some of you relate to it. I've actually worked with some starseed parents where their children don't like to eat. And that was me when I was young. Like I never like to eat, never like to drink, don't even like to sleep actually. It's feel like why do we need to sleep? Such a waste of time. Or why do I need to eat? It's weird. So a lot of starseed have these things too where when we're born we're like, ah. You know, these weird little habits. And yours may not be eating, it might be something else. So just wanted to share. Mm. Have I ever read Dolores Cannon's books? Many of the ETs say that they upgrading as human upon abduction, which I agree that some abductions are negative. Oh yes, Laura, yes. I haven't read Dolores books, but I've seen some of her videos. And yes, I think in another video we talked about abductions. There's good abductions, and there's like negative, and then there's like neutral. So if you guys have abduction memories, don't freak out right away because sometimes it can be good, right? Sometimes it could be your Pleiadian family just checking in on you, right? Giving you healing for your body. The Arcturians don't do abductions, they do it through the light body. So when I need to get a healing, I just ping my Arcturian guides, and I'm like, guys, I bring my light body up to the ship today because need some healing. I'm open to healing tonight. And they do it through the light body. They don't need to come and physically get. There's a neutral one. So thanks to our government, they sign treaties to some of these ET groups and say, oh yeah, you can give us some of your advanced technologies and you can do whatever with the population. So then some groups will come and they simply just try to study. They're just trying to be like, oh, you know, what are these organisms? Like it's like you when you were a kid, you know, you pick up like an ant, you try to look at the ant, and like, okay, cool, they look so different. And you put it back, right? So there's a more neutral one. And then there's a negative one, right? The negative one is more horrible, it's more traumatic, it's more not fun. So that is like good, bad, and neutral abductions. And even if you guys have been abducted negatively, which I also remember have as well, you can heal it. So you can take your power back from it. Don't ever feel like you are a victim. Like in a way we were, but at the same time, right, we don't need to be so attached to that energetic imprint. You can be like, okay, I probably went through it knowing my soul. I would be like, yeah, let me experience it so I can help disclose the truth. So I'm like, I probably would have signed up for something like that. And so I just heal the fear, right? Just heal the fear in regards to the experience and let it go from my field, from my consciousness. And yeah. Well, thank you so much, Rita. So I hope the sparkles you can feel from all the fairies and all the dragons around me. You know, sometimes it's so hopeless when you're in the lockdown. So it's good to generate this hangout together. And time passed by really quickly. Oh, so interesting. I'll probably have to close this live in a few minutes. But yes, I hope that today's hangout give you a little boost of upliftment to feel not so alone. And thank you to everyone that have watched today's live, whether it be live or replay, and those that have helped each other in the chat section. I think it's so precious. I think it's so beautiful. And I know I will see you guys in your starseed self when we ascend. Maybe here, maybe Venus, maybe on Arcturus. I don't know. But I know we shall meet again. Beautiful. So yeah, I have some exciting videos coming up for you guys. I haven't edited them yet, but I'm going to talk about some more about Arcturians. I'm going to talk about unicorns and the supreme element. We're going to talk a little bit about stargates and how it relates to star seeds and other downloads that I've been getting. So some exciting topics coming up soon. So hope to see you guys in the videos and then the next live. And in the meantime, right, try to stay positive, right? Stay in the light and observe the shadow, but know that you are a beacon of light. So you always have an unlimited source of light radiating from you. Don't let the Mr. Smiths discourage you. Don't give your power away to the glitches of the matrix and draw your power from your shadow. So transmute it, get those dragons, get those lions in, to work with you, and remembering to cleanse your body, release any soul copies that you've copied from other people in your field and release it. You will notice that your nervous system will become calmer. So I hope that helps everyone. Sending you lots of light, and I'll see you guys again in another live video. And if you have any topics that you are interested in, let me know too. It helps me, so I'm not always thinking about what to say. But much love, and have a good weekend ahead. See you guys next time. Bye.